Hi, welcome back to our happiness game podcast for romantic relationships. I am Zhao Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist. Yes, I'm dressed in costume today. I'm getting ready for my autobiographic theater performance tomorrow. This is part of my costume. So since we're talking about drama, play, and love today, I figured I will be dressing for my part. So every couple gets into a stuck position at some point. See, if one believe A is correct, the other believe B is the solution, and they go back and forth. And sometimes when they cannot get out of this particular dynamic and the position they hold on to, we call them a roadblock. So literally, let me give you an example. If one partner is saying, this is the correct way of doing dishes, loading the dishwasher, and the other person trying to persuade them their way is better, then you see there's no outcome come out of that, right? Very unlikely they will have a solution if they just keep repeating the same line, and then they get stuck. I'm right. That is one common dynamic roadblock couples get into. Who is right? Right? And there are also other dynamic that couples can get out of. That's why they come to me for couple therapy, or sometimes coming to me for mediation for the same reason that one thing this is the best for their child, the other person thinks that's the best practice for their child. Then we end up having this discussion about what is in the best interest of the child. They got positions stuck. In mediation, when we do value-based mediation, we want to dig underneath the values of particular position, understand how they feel and why do they want a certain way. Well, but in romantic relationships, in couple therapy and outside of the therapy room, how can you use play and drama to kind of loosen up your position and your dynamic so you get back into the flow of connection with your partner? Let me first tell you a couple of dynamics or roadblocks I often see in ADHD-affected relationships. You may also see that in other relationships, but that's one of my specialties, so I have the most experience and I see most cases for it. So let me give you a couple. Well, number one is what I already said, the I'm right, you're wrong position. That happens a lot when the couples tend to be very intellectual and they get into this intellectual debate about what is the best practice for certain things. It could be how to do the compost bag, how to load the dishwasher, how to co-parent their child, what's the best way to save for tax, or where to eat, or what kind of ticket they should get when they say go on a trip or go to a show. The examples are just endless, right? But they fall into the same category. I'm right, you're wrong. Or I'm right. They say, I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong too. The second dynamic is very, very common. If you are familiar with a drama triangle, what is the drama triangle? Here's the perpetrator, here's the victim, and there's the rescuer on top. Oftentimes in ADHD-affected relationship, in my couple therapist room, I see one of the person saying, they always do that to me. And you can tell which role they fall into, right? The victim role. And then the other person is always the perpetrator that always did something wrong that make their partner upset or hurt them or something worse. And then they try to do what? They try to induce me, the couple therapist, to be the rescuer, to come rescue the victim, to join them to blame the perpetrator to solve their problems. But that's not how it works. So what I do is I name the dynamic for them, the triangle. Well, without a drama triangle, there's not much drama left, right? When you watch your shows, it's not as exciting because you need that tension, you need that intensity, right? Well, but do you really want that intensity all the time in your daily life, in your relationship? And that's a lot. It's very taxing on your nervous system. It's kind of like a TV show you cannot switch off. And you sleep with that, you eat with that, you work with that, you co-parent with that. That just sounds exhausting. So how can we break the dynamic of the victim and the perpetrator. I will give you an exercise, a dramatic play exercise to do at the end of our podcast, but hang on tight. We have more dynamics we want to go into. Well, sometimes there's also the variation of the rescuer and either the victim, or you can call it the child, the person that's being cared for, the hopeless one. So that's what we call the parent-child dynamic, which is really a variation of the rescuer and the victim. The child is the one that's, oh, I can't do this, I'm incompetent, or I'm not capable, or I don't want to do this. And then the parent is more like, well, I am super competent and capable and efficient. Let me help you with that. And it could be helping you to do tasks, could be helping you with certain tasks and take care of you financially, save you, rescue you. So I feel good about myself up there in the top dog position. So it's still part of the triangle, and it's not they're like equal and balanced in their power, right? If this is once you play with that for the fun of it, it may add spice to your bedroom. But if this is a perpetual role dynamic you're in and you can get out of it, it can feel very stuck and exhausting. And certain part of you get overused and the other part doesn't get explored at all. And so you cannot be whole within yourself. Well, that's why here comes the tips, how to break the dynamic. Well, either you can use this as in your therapy room with your therapist guidance, or you can try it out at home. Ideally, if you have a therapist to go back to, you can process the outcome of the exercise with your therapist and get some insight and support. But if not, play with it at your own discretion. It is supposed to be fun anyways. So how it works is coming from a drama therapy type of warm-up exercise. I don't remember the name of it, but I can describe it to you how it works. So the two of you, each of you will pick a line, and you keep repeating the same line back and forth as if you're in a dialogue. But the key is each time you want to speak the line from a different persona. You want to change the tone of your voice, your volume, your speed, your energy, your facial expression, your posture. Just imagine you are a different person each time when you do that. So if you were to play with the victim and the perpetrator dynamic, it could be the victim says, "You hurt me." And the perpetrator said, "I am sorry." So that's one way of repeating the line. And then you go back. The victim can gather more energy and anger and say, "You hurt me." And then the perpetrator say, "I'm sorry, okay?" So that's more like a defended place, right? And then you try on different roles and different postures and energy, go back and forth for a while until one of you have this sense this story naturally evolve and you start to go with it. "You really hurt me. I don't understand why you do that. Why do you take our dog away without my permission? I'm sorry, okay? The dog was so sick. I was worried that you would be upset when the dog died, so I just took care of him by myself. I was trying to protect you." See, that just helped. It just started to come evolved. In the moment was an improv moment. I had no idea this was going to happen, by the way. So if the two of you play back and forth a couple times, you'll be surprised what comes out of your unconsciousness and from your relationship get played out in this dramatic play. And then afterwards, when you feel like a poor pause, you can pause it and shake it out, let it go. And then you process and talk about a little bit about it. Okay, what is it like for you to be in that role? Who are you in that role? How are you feeling? And what do you want when you're in that role? What are your desires? What are your needs? And that's a good point to create some emotional intimacy and play. And the side effect of that, you may actually end up having a hot session in bed that night. So keep me posted. I would love to hear from you, see if you played with this exercise and how that landed you. Until next week. Bye.